How do you become an NCSA certified strength and conditioning specialist?
So the steps to going to be a strength conditioning specialist with the NSCA is first going to their website and understanding what it entails. What does that certification entail? And then the process would be purchasing their textbook and then reading, cover to end.
Right. How big is that textbook?
It's a pretty thick textbook. Like
I'll tell you something funny after.
I'd say like for tips when you're trying to write the CSCS is to first book the test date, so you can book within 3 months in advance, and that way you kind of have this deadline to meet, and then you kind of have something light up behind you to get going. So it's very self-motivated, self-study, and then there's lots of different tools out there to help you. So that's basically how I did it.
If I may add to that, you need a degree to qualify for the CSCS.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so not anyone can just book an exam. You need to have or be in the process of graduating. So you can actually book your exam before you've graduated, but given you provide them proof of your diploma afterwards in order to receive your certification.
Gotcha. So when you say in process of graduating, is that like a year before graduating, or can like a first year apply?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly the details, but if I remember vaguely, I think you need to be in your last year or in your senior year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And you said, might want to book it out 3 months in advance. Do you think it takes 3 months to prepare for it, or could you like get it done like?
Yeah.
Really?
Hell yeah. Well, it also depends on where it depends whether if you're fresh out of university or if you've been 10 years out of university, right? If you're fresh out of a kin degree, then I think you're in a better position to take it sooner.
Is there a lot of overlapping content?
I would say so. Yeah, there is. But there's also a lot of content that you will never remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
If you were to, give advice to someone prepping for the certification, how long would you recommend to prepare for it?
Man, if I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't read the textbook. I bought the textbook and I didn't read one page.
Really?
But
you must have come in
but what I did
pretty fresh.
No, I was like a year and a half out of university, right? And that's quite a long time, right? Like I dumped everything from what I learned at UBC, right?
Are you naturally just really smart?
No, hell no, hell no. But I downloaded every single app I could find on the CSCS for free questions. So I downloaded probably at least 12 different apps. And then what I did was a lot of them you had to pay for, or a lot of them would give you maybe like 10 questions and then they would say you have to pay for it. So then I would find the apps that gave me the most bang for my buck, like the most questions. And so I would just study thousands of practice questions and I would keep doing it until I pretty much had it memorized. And whatever question that I didn't get right, I would Google that subject area and,
You wouldn't go to your textbook.
Nah, man. That's too much. I got to go to the table of contents. I got to flip through the pages. Why, you got Google and you just type in, what's this, right? And then there were some things that were specific to the textbook that I had to, like certain NSCA guidelines that I had to memorize. So yeah, I used the textbook for that. But honestly,
Very interesting.
It's not necessary to buy a textbook,
But in terms of preparation time to prepare for it, let's say you're just finishing up university.
Yeah.
In kin.
2 weeks to a couple months, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how much does it cost, if you remember?
I think it was like $500, $600 or something like that for the exam.
Okay. And what can you do with the certification?
So if you're looking for a professional S&C coach position, with a school, with a professional team as such, maybe some gyms, CSCS is likely a minimum requirement, right? So it's more for a screening process, right? But other than that, it doesn't really do much else.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a credential, really, right? Yeah.
I know we were talking about this before this podcast, but what's the difference between the CSCS and getting your certified personal trainer, your CPT?
Right. With the CPT, you don't need a degree. It's not as recognized, right? So CPT stands for Certified Personal Trainer, right? It might not be as credible as a CSCS if you're looking to be a strength and conditioning coach, if that makes sense, right? You have your personal trainers, you have your strength coaches, but really they're the same thing, right? They're just the titles. But if you're looking for a higher level strength position, then that CSCS is probably a minimum requirement.
And how long are these certifications valid for?
couple years.
Okay, so you just have to recertify?
You have to, with the CSCS, the unique thing about that certification is that you need continuing education units,
Oh, okay.
CEUs,
Right.
meaning if you want to recertify, you can't just pay a fee. You actually need to attend seminars and such and submit those, right? So that's a really cool thing about CSCS. It kind of keeps you accountable that way to stay on top of your field.